incredible. And I know what you guys are thinking. How did we go from the original Figyu to what you just saw in that opening 10 seconds right there? What a drastic transformation that Figyu has had. And I gotta be honest with you, he was the hottest character for us to nail down, us and GadgetBot. Like, we just were not able to hit the mark for weeks, and you're gonna see that. You guys are gonna laugh. I was actually preparing this video, and I was putting up the transitions from week to week with GadgetBot, and I was just laughing at just how ridiculous some of them were, because we were trying to get this concept, and it's really hard because how do you blend futurism with native apparel, right? Like, clearly, we're trying to showcase his heritage, which is Mexican and Aztec culture, but with a futuristic armor suit. And the reason why it's so important that we nailed this is because this character is very near and dear to us. He's basically Lewis. Lewis is our CGO. He's the creative mind behind everything you guys see, the game, the characters, the backstory, the lore, and it was so important for him to be able to deliver a character that had Mexican heritage, because as a kid, there was no one for Lewis to really look up to that was a Mexican superhero. And so we wanted to make sure we really focused on that. And Ian really challenged Lewis to dig deep and bring his Mexican heritage to life with Figyu. And so you're going to see that play out here, and you're going to see us go from this to this, and it's a wild ride. But before we get started, let's go over his backstory real quick, because it's pretty cool. General Figyu was raised at the epicenter of the galactic trade routes as a boy, and although he came from the slums of one of Earth's greatest cities, he was inspired by all the great generals that came before him. He proved himself at the Space Force Academy time and time again, and rose to the top of the ranks. A risk taker, he set off on a dangerous mission called Operation Newton that was responsible for keeping Cayman, an asteroid, in Earth's orbit. And in our first comic book, NiFe Wars, that you can now find on OpenSea, we go over and talk about Cayman the comet, so make sure you check it out. He's equipped with NiFe armor that's powered by a Dalium, and his power attack optic beam is able to destroy almost anything after a max charge. So let's talk about where we started and then where we ended up. So we all know Figyu's right here. And when GadgetBot first gave us this image, when we first started the relationship, I actually thought this character looked pretty cool. Kind of gave me like Star Wars vibes. Everybody else absolutely hated it. So we immediately were asking for different things, because Lewis felt that he was coming across more as a cowboy and wasn't really embodying, the Mexican or the Aztec culture in this costume. And so immediately they came back with some new sketches. And again, very different from what you saw in the beginning of the video. And we thought that A was definitely a step in the right direction, right? He has the power suit, where B was still kind of giving off that cowboy-esque vibe or Star Wars vibe we didn't want to go to. I mean, he kind of looks like a gunslinger, which is cool, but wasn't really the direction we wanted to go with Figyu. And so we decided to do another round of sketches, and we came to this, because we said, well, we don't know if we like this cape and these flaps on his back. Let's try maybe giving him a scarf, and let's mess with his helmet a little bit. Remember, he has that optic beam that he shoots out. And then also let's mess with his gun and his feet, because he's also supposed to be able to run really fast. So that's where you see like the NiFe activating on his armor on his feet right here. And again, like here he has two guns, there he has one gun. We thought, okay, let's go with one big gun. But again, we were just like, it's just not hitting right, like at all. So we decided to push things a little further, go back to him having two guns, having them holstered on his hips, and then giving him a knife. And he, as you can see down here, he has a knife on each side of his calves here. When we thought, okay, we're starting to go in the right direction. We're still not really feeling the armor, because it's not giving off that Mexican heritage that we're trying to get here. And so I think it was around this point where Ian told Lewis to like really dig and try to bring his Mexican heritage to life, to do some research. And so Lewis started looking through all like this Aztec culture and all the different armors and things like that. And he sent those photos to Gadgetbot, and then Gadgetbot came back with this, and I was just like, he looks like that creature from Jurassic Park that spits the acid, right? And we're like, okay, so, you know, we're getting closer. Like, we can definitely see, you know, some of those designs that you see whenever we talk about, you know, ancient Aztec culture and things like that. But it's not really working with the future power suit. And then all of a sudden he has, like, you know, the orange feathers and the cape and all that brought into his knives and his feet. We're just like, okay, let's try something totally different. But this was a good step in the right direction, right? And so Lewis dug even deeper, and he provided like some different examples of armor that he really liked, and Gadgetbot was able to take those examples and came back with this. And now we were thinking, okay, this is starting to look a bit more natural, right? Again, before it just looked like these things were coming out of his head. You wouldn't even really know what they were unless you knew he had Mexican heritage, right? Now, all of a sudden, it makes sense with the gold armor and the greens and the yellow and the medallion that he has on his chest right here, right? Now it's starting to come together. And so, obviously, this is a very not detailed sketch, especially for a round 5 sketch from Gadgetbot, but they just wanted to make sure that we thought we were going in the right direction. And we said, yes, this is the right direction we want to go in. Let's play with this more. Let's start adding more stuff. And then in the next sketch, we got this. And this is obviously a huge leap from this variation to this one, but obviously in the right direction, right? Like, this character, like, I'll just be honest with you guys, I never thought Figyu was gonna look right. I was just like, it felt all over the place to me, but I had faith in Gadgetbot, and I was like, these guys will figure it out. And when they came back with this variation of Figyu, I said, okay, this makes sense. You can clearly tell that it's a high-tech suit, but also, you know, the suit embodies a lot of the decorations that you would see in an ancient Aztec warrior, right? And so I was really happy with this variation of Figyu. I thought it was really starting to bring a lot of those elements to life that I wanted Lewis to focus on. And the armor looks badass, right? Like, he just looks super cool. And so we said, okay, this is good. Let's start to really dial it in and add more detail. And you can see just a few changes were added here, right? And there's an Easter egg here that I'm going to let you guys know about, that nobody who doesn't watch this video is ever going to know. So keep that in mind. It might come up in the future for maybe a contest or something. Who knows? So we added the visor, the Figyu visor, although I believe the optic beams are going to shoot from the fangs on top of his helmet and on his chest right here. So the feathers that you guys see, I had Lewis explain this to me last night just so I could be very clear on how the powering up sequence is going to work. So his ability with his suit, his feathers can absorb 0-point energy, which is the energy around him, and that'll go into those feathers, which will allow him to fly and shoot energy beams. So basically, he uses the energy through his suit to power his weapons, which I thought was really cool. And the other Easter egg you guys might notice is down here on his left leg. I'll go back and forth, boom, boom, and it's this fish decoration. And the reason why there's a fish is because in the town that Lewis was born in Mexico, the indigenous people, all they had for food was fish. It's a state of Michoacan. So that's a really good Easter egg for you guys to learn a little bit more about Lewis and his heritage, which I thought was really cool. And you know what? I think that he met the challenge. Comment down below. I really think that Lewis met the challenge and was able to bring everything to life. And then there were just a few more changes that were made. Obviously, from round 8 to round 9 was just final detail. But of course, there was one more addition that I actually had a hard time finding. I went into our Telegram group and I was like, guys, where's the W for WAGMI? Every character has a W for WAGMI. I didn't even notice it because it was such a subtle change, which is why we love Gadgetbot. Check this out right here on his left forearm. Literally goes from a V to a W. Boom. And we got WAGMI, baby, all over. So that's Figyu, the 12th and final transformation. And if you guys missed any of the previous transformations, there's a link to the playlist in the info section below. Make sure you subscribe, tap that like button, and we'll see you guys in the next video.